When most people think of a millionaire, they imagine a CEO, a tech founder, or someone who inherited wealth. But in my decade of consulting for investors and business owners across the globe, I've seen millionaires made from the most unexpected places, from school teachers in Singapore to mechanics in Manchester. One of my favorite examples is Ronald Red, a janitor and gas station attendant from Vermont who quietly built an $8 million portfolio. He never owned a business, never had a high salary, but he mastered something most people overlook: financial structure and patience. And that's the truth I've seen repeated in clients managing both modest paychecks and multi-million-dollar portfolios. Wealth has very little to do with how much you earn, and everything to do with how you manage, multiply, and protect what you already have. Hi, I'm Fahad, an ACCA-qualified global financial consultant. For over 10 years, I've advised individuals and companies across continents on how to turn cash flow into lasting wealth. And in this video, I'm sharing the 4 financial habits that actually work, the exact same principles I teach to my high net worth clients. Because the path to millionaire status doesn't start with income, it starts with intention, structure, and consistency. Let's start with the first pillar of wealth: frugality. And let's redefine what that really means. Frugality isn't about being cheap. It's about being efficient with capital. In my years consulting clients around the world, I've seen that efficiency, not income, is what determines who builds lasting wealth. I once worked with a client earning over $700,000 a year. He lived beautifully: the cars, the travel, the lifestyle. But when we reviewed his accounts, he was saving less than 3% of his income. Contrast that with one of my earliest clients in Nairobi, earning under $30,000 a year. She saved 40% of her income consistently. Today, she's financially independent. That's the power of purpose-driven money. In finance, I use a simple metric called the effective savings rate, or ESR. It's calculated as savings divided by income times 100. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much of what you make actually stays with you. Because wealth doesn't come from high earnings. It comes from high retention and the discipline to make your money work harder than your habits. Here's where it starts: automation. Set up standing orders or automated investment plans that pay you first, before you pay bills, rent, or anyone else. When you automate your savings, you remove emotion and turn discipline into design. Over time, small, consistent financial efficiency compounds faster than sporadic high earnings. And that's the real mindset shift. You don't build wealth by earning more first. You build it by mastering what you already earn. Every dollar, pound, or shilling should have a purpose. And when your money is directed with intention, that's when it begins to multiply. The second pillar to becoming a millionaire on a modest income is simple, but often misunderstood: invest aggressively and invest early. Now, when I say aggressive, I don't mean reckless. I mean intentional and consistent, putting your money to work with purpose and discipline over time. Because here's the truth: time in the market always beats timing the market. Whether you're investing in US index funds, UK ISAs, or Singapore CPF portfolios, the principle is the same. The longer your money stays invested, the harder it compounds for you. Let me illustrate. I once worked with 2 clients. Both were disciplined savers. One began investing $500 a month at age 25. The other waited until age 35 to start the same amount, same returns. By the time they both reached 55, the early investor had nearly doubled the wealth simply because of time. That's the quiet magic of compounding. Albert Einstein once called compounding the 8th wonder of the world. He said, "He who understands it, earns it. He who doesn't, pays it." Here's why. When you invest early, your money earns returns, and then those returns earn returns. Over decades, that exponential growth curve does the heavy lifting. Or, as I tell my clients, your first $100,000 takes discipline. Your next $900,000 takes patience. Now, let's talk about how professionals manage this process. First, diversification. Spread your investments across geographies and asset classes: stocks, bonds, real estate, and alternatives. Different regions grow at different times. Diversification helps smooth volatility while preserving upside potential. Second, rebalancing. Once a year, review your portfolio and adjust it back to your target mix. Markets shift, and your allocation should evolve with them. Third, avoid emotional investing. Markets rise and fall, but fear and greed are the true destroyers of wealth. Have a plan, stick to it, and remember, long-term consistency always outperforms short-term reaction. As a financial consultant, I've seen it across every market I've worked in. Time is the single largest multiplier of wealth. The earlier you deploy capital, the less capital you'll need to reach financial independence. So, start now. Even if it's a small amount, let time and consistency work in your favor. Because wealth isn't about finding the perfect investment, it's about giving your investments enough time to become perfect. Pillar number 3, time and consistency, the silent multiplier. If there's one force that quietly separates the financially free from everyone else, it's this: time in the market, not timing the market. You've heard of people like Ronald Read, the janitor who built an $8 million fortune, or Warren Buffett, whose net worth exploded after age 60. What both stories share is simple: decades of consistency. In corporate finance, we're trained to discount future cash flows, to bring tomorrow's value into today's terms. But in personal finance, most people do the opposite. They discount their own future far too heavily. They underestimate what 30 years of steady investing can actually achieve. Let's put this into perspective. If you invest steadily for 30 years and earn a modest return, your portfolio grows at a healthy pace. But extend that to 40 years, and the final decade often adds more growth than the first 30 combined. That's compounding in its purest form: exponential, silent, and unstoppable. I call this concept wealth velocity, the point where your money begins accelerating its own growth. Each reinvested return fuels the next, turning small, consistent contributions into extraordinary results over time. And here's the truth I've seen advising clients across continents. Some of my wealthiest clients didn't beat the market. They simply stayed in it longer than everyone else. Because wealth isn't built by brilliance or luck. It's built by time, structure, and unwavering consistency. Start early. Stay consistent. And let time do what talent and timing rarely can. The fourth pillar of building wealth, and perhaps the one that separates stability from true freedom, is building multiple income streams. According to data from Thomas Corley, author of Rich Habits, 65% of millionaires have 3 or more sources of income. That's not a coincidence, it's a strategy. When I advise entrepreneurs or professionals, I always tell them, one income stream is a risk, not a strategy. In corporate finance, we'd never recommend relying on a single customer or supplier, yet most individuals depend on a single paycheck. That's not diversification, that's exposure. Let's break down the 5 key income streams every aspiring millionaire should understand. Number 1, earned income. This is your active work, your job, salary, or consulting revenue. It's where most people start, but it's also the most limited. You trade time for money. Number 2, investment income. Dividends, ETFs, and equities that generate returns without your daily involvement. This is how your money starts working for you. Number 3, interest income. From bonds, treasury bills, or high-yield savings accounts. It's not glamorous, but it adds stability and liquidity, especially in volatile markets. Number 4, rental or asset income. This includes property rentals, car leases, or even renting out business equipment. These assets can produce predictable, recurring cash flow. And number 5, business or side hustle income. Scalable ventures, online or physical, where your earnings can grow exponentially, not linearly. Here's the key difference. Earned income is linear. The others are exponential. Your job pays for your present. Your investments and side ventures pay for your future. Let me give you a real example. I worked with a client in Dubai, a mid-level executive with a stable salary. She began consulting part-time on weekends, using that extra income to invest in Dividend ETFs. Within 5 years, her passive income exceeded her monthly living costs. She didn't quit her job, she simply built financial independence on her own terms. That's the compounding power of diversified income. In professional finance, we call this income diversification, and in risk management terms, it's portfolio hedging applied to your life. When one stream slows, the others sustain you. And when all grow together, that's where financial freedom begins. So, whether you're an employee, entrepreneur, or freelancer, build systems that let your skills, assets, and capital create multiple cash flows. Because one stream pays the bills, but several streams build your wealth. So, let's bring it all together. If you truly want to build wealth, even on a modest salary, these are your 4 pillars. Be frugal with purpose, because every dollar must have a job. Invest early and intentionally, letting time and compounding do the heavy lifting. Stay consistent, because wealth rewards patience more than perfection. And finally, build multiple income streams so your money grows even when you're not working. Here's the truth. Whether you earn $30,000 or $3 million, these habits decide your financial trajectory. Wealth isn't reserved for the lucky, it's built by the disciplined. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen to those who take ownership, one smart decision, one consistent habit, one strategic move at a time. If this resonated with you, here's what I want you to do next. Comment below which pillar you're going to start with, and I'll personally create a deep dive video on it. If you want more real-world strategies from a consultant's perspective, practical, global, and proven, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because in the next video, we'll explore the hidden tax strategies millionaires use to grow wealth faster, and how you can legally apply the same principles no matter your income. Remember, wealth isn't about numbers. It's about habits, structure, and clarity. And it all begins the moment you decide to take ownership.